Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, your show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success and challenges. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder, and I am here with my co-host,
Nate Swink. What's up, my brother? Happy to be here with you, man.
Happy to be here too, man. We gotta get you a nickname or something. I think you got. I got the broker.
Well, I like yours. Yours is so the broker builder. Mine could just be the broke builder.
It flows well. Your broker builder and the broke builder.
No, it's all good. We're on the up and up now.
No, you guys are doing awesome. We're going to talk about that today too, in our intros here. But we got to come up with a nickname over time with you. Nasty Nate, whatever you want to call yourself.
I have to verify that by the wife.
That's true. That is true.
So why don't you hit and let these guys know kind of what the TCS podcast is all about?
Yeah, so the Top Contractor Podcast is the podcast that it offers a platform for industry leaders to share their expertise, best practices, and lessons learned, empowering listeners to excel in their own construction endeavors. Whether you're a seasoned contractor, an inspiring professional, or simply passionate about the construction world, this podcast is your go-to resource for industry knowledge, inspiration, and deeper understanding of people driving construction forward. That was a mouthful, Nate.
Yes, sir. We're definitely not going to do that every time we intro.
we are not. We're not. Yeah,
just to let everybody know what this thing is about, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we obviously are excited to be here. Excited to be launching this podcast. This is episode 1 with y'all. And we're going to lay it out for you guys so you guys know what to expect coming out before we get into kind of introducing ourselves. So, Nate, lay it out. What are we doing with this podcast?
So we're going to have three different systems here. One's going to be educational, 30 minutes or so, where me and old Billy B here, Billy B. Ryman, we talk about...
Where'd you get the Billy B? I'm going to cut you off there. Where'd the Billy B thing come from? Because...
it just rhymes, man. It's kind of like a country song, Billy B.
Hey, there you go.
And you're from Florida, so it flows.
Yeah, there you go. A little country twang to it. I like it. All right, get back into what else we do.
Educational, right? Me and Bill are going to just kind of talk about some educational stuff. The great thing about this podcast, we're not going to leave anything. We're not going to reserve anything. It's all out on the table, right? Revenue, profit margins, I'm talking industry secrets. It's all out on the table because we want to invest our time watching you win, okay? And then we're going to do guest interviews, 45 to 60 minutes guest interviews. We're not bringing on any bozos, no shows. We're bringing on the best of the freaking best so that you guys get tremendous value, okay?
No
the last one is Contractor Connection. We're going to be rolling through 3 topics, maybe news articles about construction, different things like that, and we're going to be discussing them with me and Billy here or bringing on a guest. And before we get started and roll into this thing, if you guys can take a minute, look, we're both busy guys. We're building large companies here, trying to get rich, doing it, and help people, bless people along the way. We take a lot of time out of our day to do this stuff. We could be doing a lot more things, making money, but we're doing this to provide value to the industry because we believe this industry needs value. Okay, just look at the way the old construction people talk to customers. They sound like a bunch of assholeos. So we need to get some value and educate people here. So before we get started, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get this thing going and let's get this construction industry fixed and on the right direction. Bill?
Yeah, I love that, man. No, that was a heck of a way to showcase what we're going to be doing here. Obviously, this podcast is important to both of us. We are taking our time, the time out of our busy schedules to do this for y'all, bring you the best of the best. Like Nate said, no bozos allowed. We are bringing on contractors that are doing big things. It's going to teach you multiple things, whether you're a contractor in the industry or you have a client that needs to learn more about construction too. It's going to benefit everybody. Or if you're just interested in the construction industry also, it's going to benefit you. So please take the time, like, share, comment, subscribe. And with that being said, though, this is episode 1. We're going to do our intros. You're going to meet who we are. You got to find that out. So let's start with Nate Swink. Who are you?
Still trying to figure that out myself some days. Look in the mirror, say, damn, that's a good looking guy right there. Who is that? Oh, no. All joking aside, I'm a 27-year-old entrepreneur. Grew up in business. My dad was an entrepreneur. He still is. My grandfather was. It's in my blood, and I love it. I dropped out of high school at the age of 16 to pursue my entrepreneurial journey in starting a welding company. Since then, years later, now we're one of the best in the area, or the best in the area. Let's not sugarcoat it. And doing structural steel miscellaneous with the goal and the vision of being the largest and preferred structural steel contractor in the state of California. That's a 10-year goal, right? That'd be a multiple $150 to $200 million range in 8 years. That's the goal. We're going to take them out. Anvil Iron, we're coming for you because you guys currently hold the spot. We're going to take you out, man, because nobody's got the vision like we do. Anyway, on a personal level, got married to my beautiful wife, Gabby, in November. Have a baby coming, baby Paisley, in December 5th. Hopefully I don't get that wrong or I'll get in trouble after this. And that's it, man. You know, just you can, you know, all of our stuff for our social will be in the bio or the verbiage of this thing. So you can check it out. But that's it. Just trying to grow and scale the business and give value to people and, you know, enjoy teaching my people and watching them learn new things and make more money and just trying to really shift the industry because the industry is just jacked. No one asks how the customer wants things done. No one approaches anything from a deep point of service, right? So that's where we try to come in and change that and communicate and teach our people how to be better people. So that's all I got.
That. Nah, man, that's great because I was going to try and get you, pull a little more out of you too, because I mean your story, everything you've done in the industry too, at such a young age is impressive. So there's people listening to this that are going to learn a lot from Nate and who he is and how he's kind of overcome a lot of different obstacles in building his business too. This man started welding. You should throw in that story real quick before I go into my intro, where you had the welding tank hanging out of the car. You know,
yeah. Yeah. So I started when I was 16, right? I dropped out of high school, started welding gates and fences, whatever I could get my hands on, you know, just got my license. And my first vehicle that I was welding out of is a Nissan Maxima. And I've got big, you know, almost 6 foot tall. Oof, got a burp from my energy drink there. Anyway, got these big 6 foot long.
Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, everybody.
Right? Yeah. So I got those things sticking out the side of my car. I had to roll down the window because a Maxima is not quite that wide. And the top of the cylinder is hanging out the window like probably 6-8 inches. So, you know, I did whatever I had to do to get it going. And now, you know, just 2 years ago, our office, my company office, was like a 10 by 10. And now it's 1,100 square feet. We just moved into a new office, fully remodeled it. Costs way too much to do that, but the inside is slick if you ever get the opportunity of coming down to our office. So, yeah, man, it's just the growth once you get rolling, it's fun to watch it compound. You can do I've done more in the last 12 months than I have in the last 8 years, right? And I'm going to continue to do that, right? Next year will be more than I did in the last X amount of years, you know? So always
sure.
evolving.
For sure, man. And love your story, like I said, too. And people are going to learn more about you as we get going with this, too. And hopping into my background a little bit, I grew up in construction. I had a dad that was involved in all the trades. I mean, swung a hammer, did everything you could imagine. But he was also owned a concrete company, started from scratch outside of Chicago. Growing up as a kid, always worked, always had to work for everything. Very blue collar family, had to work for everything I wanted. If I wanted one of those video game systems, I had to work for it. That's how my parents were. And that's how I learned the industry too. Got into custom home building when we moved to Florida in '95 as a kid. Once again, being a laborer, cleaning job sites, and digging ditches, doing all the fun stuff nobody likes to do, especially nowadays. We'll get into that topic in another future episode. But so I got a lot of experience in the industry. Now I am 36 years old, running our family construction company with my brother, and got a great team. Exploded on our growth over the last couple of years. You know, doing projection about, I want to say 30 million so far this year in sales. And then, so our company is continuing, still have a lot more coming up too. But just trying to grow, like Nate said as well, and do the best I can to create a big team, a culture, and build kind of the family legacy out and expand throughout the state of Florida. That's kind of the overall grow. We're a luxury builder, do high-end homes primarily in Naples and Marco Island. So you got East Coast and West Coast on this podcast. Nate and I working out times is a little difficult because the 3-hour difference, but we'll figure it out as we go too. But it's good to have two perspectives on each side of the country. Here I'm in Florida, he's in California, so yeah,
We might have to fly out to one of the sides and do a couple episodes there too. We'll do one on the beach in Marco Island. How about that?
There you go. And then we'll do one in Southern Cal on the beach.
There's too many hobos on the beach out here, bro. You don't want to go to the beach in Southern Cal.
That is true. Very, very good point. Very good point. But yeah, I mean, that's a quick background about myself, guys. I used to host the Real Build. Well, kind of closed it up just to start this podcast. I host the Real Build podcast for the last 4 years. I had a lot of success with that podcast. Was ready for a change and something different. And Nate and I have been talking about doing this for a while. Finally took the opportunity and ran with it. And here we are on the Top Contractor podcast, and hoping to deliver you guys a ton of value. Family background, since Nate did it, I got married in November as well, and also have my first baby on the way as well. Ours is due in September, so coming around the corner here. It is a boy. His name will be Will, so named after myself. And yeah, we're just family's starting. Nate and I are kind of in our journeys as far as building and being contractors, and we're ready to share our journey with you guys and continue the growth with you too. So what else you got, Nate?
I don't know. Maybe we should show off a little bit, give ourselves some credibility, right? We don't want everybody to think like, we're two chumps here running a podcast,
No, I mean, we business-wise, my business is luxury home building. We have 13 houses going as we speak, all under construction right now, and then we have another probably 9 in the works and for planning too. Got about 7 members on my team. We are still growing, obviously looking for new people all the time, ambitious people as well, and hiring the right people. Learned how to do that, which is a topic we'll get into here in the future too, of how to hire and what to look for there, because a lot of contractors, like Nate, we all hear it, is they struggle finding people, and finding the right people and good people. So it's background wise too, our company it's established company that my brother and I are growing, and we've hit pretty good growth, probably the busiest we've ever been in the company's history as we speak. So
What's been your growth year over year? Like the last 3 years, you've doubled in size every year for the last 3-4 years, right?
yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it has to do with the stuff we're a part of and learning. And I mean, I've learned so much over the last 4 years personally. I mean, just by doing content, stuff like that, but also the leadership end of things too. You know, just taking on more of a leadership role within the business instead of doing my own thing and worrying about that, and just kind of helping people, guiding them, being more of a guide, and being more of a part of the company, and not having an employee mindset, more having an ownership mindset too. It's family business. It's tough for everybody listening out there. Family business has been tough, dealing with a dad that was a part of the business. Now he's kind of faded out, and my brother and I are, we've dealt with a lot. When I say we've never been handed anything, we've never been handed anything. So if the whole story goes pretty in depth, but yeah, I mean, it's been good, man. The growth's been good. I finally feel like I'm at a point too where I have the control and the opportunity to do what I want, put the people in place that I need, and that was tough for quite a few years there too, as well. So. Yeah, man. Now, what about you? Let's go into your company a little bit. You went through a little bump in the road. Now you're booming too. We talked about it on my podcast.
I mean, there's another huge bump in the road like that we're going through. Some of this stuff that I might mention, I may get a little backlash from the attorney because there is some ongoing stuff. But hey, it's all good. Let's be transparent. So
what this show's
yeah,
about.
Right. So. Yeah, let's see, what was that? Yeah, about 7 months ago, in the beginning of the year, we were coming out of running a bunch of big projects, a few $1 million of projects, and all of them were deep in the red because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So we lost over $500,000 on those. Like, that's a big hit. That'll put most people out of business. But, I'm a creative entrepreneur. We made it work. And anyway, so we came out of that, and I was focused the whole time because I didn't have project managers yet. I was doing project management. I was doing sales, estimating, trying to figure it all out. Didn't want to delegate. So when we came out of that, because I was PMing all those the whole time, our backlog was nothing. It was like, I think, $100,000. And within 3 months of just working nonstop, we got our backlog. I got single-handedly the backlog back up to over $2.5 million. And since then, we have project managers, a whole sales team, accounting. Like, since then, I've just hunkered down and built out all the different verticals of the business and I'm still heavily involved in directing and training operations and sales, but where, the motor's rolling now. So it's just, the moral of that story is don't stop. And the reason why I don't ever stop and get hung up on, I just lost all this money, I'm going to quit, is because I have a vision so big. I'm not thinking about next year. I'm not thinking about the year after that. I'm thinking 10 years, 15 years out, while thinking about tomorrow, while thinking about next month, strategically planning today, tomorrow, all these things. But the big vision is 5-10 years out. And when you have a vision that far out, when you deal with a big problem now, you're like, bro, that's nothing. That's nothing. When we're a 9-figure company, that's nothing. But that's the vision. So that just keeps me focused. Hey, whatever, that's a loss, but we learned a lot. Let's keep going. Whereas I think a lot of other people, they're not thinking. That's the problem. You have to think big. You got to think in the big. Ed Milet says that all the time. You got to be in the big, think in the big. Don't get caught up with thinking about just today, right? You got to have that vision, and that will keep you driving. So yeah, that was one hiccup. another hiccup that threw me into a massive depression for like 2 or 3 weeks was I got notice without knowing anything about this in March. In April. In April, I got notice in the mail and attorneys calling me wanting to represent us that my workforce wants to unionize. So I'm like looking at that like, oh, that's a big, huge deal, right? And not a lot of people know about that because not a lot of companies have had their employees try to unionize. And we're still in the process of that where we're negotiating with the union for a contract. That process costs over $100,000 in attorney fees. Right now, our attorney fees are $15,000 a month, $10 to $15K a month. And I let that for 3 weeks hold me up. I'm like, dude, I don't want to go in the union. I don't want to do this. This sucks. Maybe I'll just close the business, right? Because it's a huge shift. All your customers are different. Mm-hmm. You can't use non-union customers, right? They're not going to use a union contractor because cost is about 30-40% more. Doesn't work. So I let that get me all hung up. And then I pulled out of that and thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. Union, non-union, I don't give a shit what it is. I'm still going to win. The vision's still the same. And that's the mindset that I really embody is whatever it is, I'm gonna work it for my good, right? And that's not me. That's me, but ultimately that's God, right? I believe that God will work any problem for my good. You know, you and I are in a Christian group together and some other things. So, yeah, that's some of the hurdles. That's one of the current hurdles that we're dealing with. And the vision's big enough.
I commend you on what because that's part of the process too. I mean, I've had plenty of bumps in the road throughout my journey too, lost money, so on, having to transition our company to a different format of how we get, instead of doing fixed costs, doing cost plus, because we are so custom and so on. But you know, what I liked what you said there too was about the bigger picture. You're always thinking, 10, 15 years ahead. And I do the same thing. Like, I didn't say in my intro, I'm also a real estate broker. Well, how can I leverage my real estate side of things, and how can I leverage the construction side of things where those intertwine with each other too and mesh and continue to grow that empire, that I can get to the largest luxury custom home builder in the state of Florida. That's my overall goal, maybe even the country. I don't know where it's going to go from there. Probably be pretty tired after the whole state of Florida, but it's just, it's that bigger picture. What you said is so important. I'm always trying to figure out how I can build out that enterprise, whether it's my home watch business that I have, or it's the entrepreneur, it's the drive in us, and that's what keeps us going. You don't stop, you don't quit, you'll never quit. And, that's the difference maker too. So when people out there that are listening to this, if you are starting a business, I mean, Nate started, how old were you when you started your welding company?
16. I had to have somebody drive me to the county, the city hall or whatever, because back then to process a DBA, you had to go in and fill out the paper. And
your balls haven't even dropped probably by then either, huh?
I don't think they still probably hasn't, since they've been kicked the heck up there so far. I've had my balls kicked in so much, I don't know if they're ever going to drop anymore.
That is true. That's part of entrepreneurship too. Yeah. It's great. But going back to what you were saying though, man, like if anybody's listening out there too, Nate has been through it. I've been through it too. We have a lot to share as well. I mean, we're both very business driven. I have a hobby shop. If you're watching the video on this, that's why I got all the sports stuff behind me right now too. I just did it as a side hustle, basically where I can turn things off, and I have a hobby shop. So I'm technically running a business to kind of get myself away from business too. That's that mindset, which is what Nate was talking about as well. But it's awesome what you're doing, man. Like just the process too, and people resonate with what you just said, of what you've gone through. I don't deal with unions down here. We're a whole different type of deal down here in Florida. versus what you're dealing with, but somebody will resonate with what you're dealing with too as well, because you've had a lot going on, but you've dug yourself out every time too. You've climbed the mountain, got kicked in the balls like we said multiple times for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to you do the stuff that you know you need to do every day.
Yep.
Right. And obviously there's strategy in between that. It's not that easy, but you just put your head down and you get to work. And you don't bitch about it, you don't complain about it. And I let myself get depressed for like I said, 2 or 3 weeks. And then finally I just said, what am I doing? Every conflict I've hit, I've won. I've conquered every conflict. And I said, either way, I'm going to win. So let's go. Let's get back to it and let's focus back up on the vision. And that's all it is. Keep going.
Yeah, keep getting back up, man. That's what it's all about. Because that's a lot of the things with construction too. Is people get knocked down, they don't get back up, they quit. And not sound corny and cliche, but it's true. I mean, this industry's tough. It really is. But there's a lot of money to be made in this industry. There's a lot of opportunity in this industry too. There's a need for more contractors. There's a need for help in this industry too. So that need drives the price. Obviously things aren't cheap anymore. Things aren't cheap in the construction industry, especially nowadays after what happened the last couple of years. But there's so much opportunity out there too. So that's what we're going to be here for, is to kind of lay it out, teach you guys what we know, teach you guys, have great people on this show that have a lot of knowledge, that are having success. Like Nate said, no bozos allowed. It's got to be it's going to be great interviews. Nate and I are going to cover topics too, and just talk about certain topics like we kind of went over today individually, and then also kind of read up on the news too, which we'll have a lot of fun while doing it, and you get to hear that badass intro song every single time too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man, because like a lot of the content I put out is short form. So this longer form stuff, it'd be good to get in and get into the detail, the nitty gritty of how you actually do things, like recruiting. Like we're pretty good at recruiting and hiring and stuff like that. So getting in all these details, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you get kind of two perspectives too. You're getting more on the residential side too. You have a little commercial side in you as well. I'm strictly residential on the home side. But your company, as far as hiring, is different than my company too, because we subcontract out a lot of stuff. So you're going to get kind of two perspectives with this whole thing as well from Nate and I. And yeah, man, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And for background too, like Nate was on my podcast, The Real Build, and it was one of the top episodes that I had too, because we had a good time doing it. Nate and I have known each other for a little while now, and every time we see each other, we have a good time. So why not put it together on a podcast and have a good time every single week? So
let's do it. I don't want it to end.
But unfortunately, we got to end this episode. We're hitting about 30 minutes on it. So we're looking forward to this, man. We're looking forward to each and every one of you guys listening out there. The Top Contractor Podcast has begun, and looking forward to a long run with it. And yeah, Nate, close us out. What you got?
You don't want to miss out. You better subscribe, hit the notification button. This information has cost us millions to learn. You'd only be a weenie to not listen to the information when you're starting out and then make those same mistakes. So there's no ego in this game, right? When you're trying to get wealthy, there's no ego allowed. You gotta be open-minded.
Don't be a weenie. No ego allowed. Awesome, brother. Yeah, this is going to be good. Thank you all for listening. Like, share, comment. Like we said in the beginning, you guys know what to do. We're looking forward to this journey with y'all. We'll see you on the next episode.